Okay, guys, I am here with the one, the only, Jon Najarian, who is the better looking and smarter.
Better looking, smarter, luckier, all of that stuff.
CNBC, options guru.
Thank you. Yep.
And
halftime report, noon Eastern time every day, and I'm lucky enough to run into smart people like you at events like this.
Thank you, sir.
North American Bitcoin.
So, you've obviously seen a whole bunch of things in financial markets, equities, bonds. What is your take on what's going on in the digital asset market, crypto? How do you think about it as a diversified investor?
I probably was too diversified in it last year. I was into too many altcoins. But now I've limited that to Stellar, Ripple, and Ethereum. And I'm still in Bitcoin, but it is a much smaller percentage of the portfolio now. So I still think they've got a strong potential going forward. A lot of people like to talk about a bright future. I think it can be. But it depends what happens here, and I'm one of the guys, probably because of where I came from, that I'm on the centralized side, not the decentralized.
Right.
I know my friend Charlie Shrem, he and I are going to do a talk today. He's totally decentralized. I am a guy that thinks you need a degree of centralization for these assets. And I think that's one of the next steps that takes us to that next level.
Now, some people would argue Wall Street being involved in digital assets is a good thing. Other people would say it's not a good thing. I just reflect on the pinnacle of the Bitcoin price, December 2017.
And guess what that coincided with, right? I know what you're going to say. CBOE and CME.
Yes.
You know, two big Wall Street giants, even though they're both in Chicago, not on Wall Street. But they're nonetheless a big part of the landscape. And that did change things, because all of a sudden you could sell a future against your Bitcoin.
And do you think is that been a major component of the steep decline of Bitcoin prices? Do you think there are a lot more short sellers on the other side and they're leveraging futures to do that, or is it something else?
I think it would have come around anyway, because you and I both know there are people that will lend Bitcoin and Ethereum and a host of other digital assets. So that's what you have to be able to short something. You have to have a lender, of somebody who holds that asset that will lend it out. So I think it would have happened, but it obviously sped things up. And in the crypto space, everything's so fast anyway that when you threw two big firms creating a demand for shorts, it sped things up probably a little too fast.
So if you take the other side of that trade, is there a buy side right now? Do you see demand? Are people wanting to buy and hold digital assets? And if so, what's the driver? What would make them want to do that now?
The biggest thing, I think, is that the prices come down so dramatically. So I do a lot of over-the-counter crypto trades for large buyers of 10,000 or more BTC. And 9 out of 10 calls I get are not frauds, but they're people that can't really do what they say they want to do. They tell me they want to buy 50,000 BTC. And I can do the math in my head. I know how much money that is. These are big chunks of money.
Proof of funds, please.
Yes, proof of funds. On the other hand, I do have 3 different hedge funds that are real hedge funds that people would recognize, that I'm not at liberty to say, but they would be hedge funds and or ETF offerers that you would all recognize their names. And they want to buy up to $500 million worth of BTC. But the problem is finding real sellers. I've seen Tim Draper's wallet twice in the last 2 weeks, and I know Tim's not a seller. So, in other words, there's a lot of people passing around wallets trying to say, I have control of this or whatever, and they're intermediaries, they're not the mandate. But when you get the real people, like I say, 1 out of 10 of them that I get is real. That's my problem, though, is finding those real sellers rather than just dealing with, all the firms that are good firms, but like Cumberland or Circle or any of these guys. I tend to deal with miners directly and then hook those guys up with the actual buyers.
So if you were to be charting like you do on Halftime Report, where do you think we are right now? Is it at a bottom? Are we at a head and shoulders? So where do you think we are?
I think we are near a bottom. That's why if we didn't already put it in, I think it's very, very close. For Bitcoin, I mean, I think Ethereum's already bounced somewhat. They had the start and stop with Constantinople this week. Fortunately, it was a stop because that fork apparently wasn't quite ready for prime time.
Yeah.
But I think that's the reason a lot of people want in. A lot of the funds that knew that it felt like a bubble to them because they've got pretty good, antenna that go up. The radar told them it was at 17,000 or 19,000 last year. It was a little too fluffy. Now down here under 4,000, they are more interested.
So the people you're seeing, the larger players in the market, you're seeing buying demand now. People are seeing this as a bottom.
Yes,
they
sir.
want to buy. What do you think is going to be the catalyst to start moving Bitcoin, maybe not to 20,000 in the short term, but start moving it back into bullish territory?
Better ways, and you're working with one of them, but better ways to securitize or to safeguard the holdings. That's something that's necessary. It needs to be far easier, and it needs to be a lot closer to, this is okay, but as my friend Charlie Shrem always says, it's an $8 wrench from Home Depot that the guy grabs you by the back of the neck and says, okay, you're going to give me the code to that, or am I going to hit you in the head with the wrench? That doesn't happen. No one's ever had their Apple, somebody put a gun to their head and say, give me your Apple. So it has to have some sort of security like we have with depository trust or something like that.
Right.
And
Terrific.
I think that's one of the things.
All right, well, thank you very much. Pleasure to speak with the one, the only Jon Najarian here at the North American Bitcoin Show. Thank you so much, sir. Have a great show.
Good to see you. Thank you.